All right, so since the John Jones Dominic Reyes fight on Saturday, it's now Thursday. The biggest talking point within MMA has been the state of judging within the sport. I'm a little bit surprised that this is the fight that has caused this reaction because week in, week out, I feel like we routinely see fights that have been judged to a much lower standard to what we saw on Saturday. I believe Dominic Reyes won that fight, but at the same time, I do agree that it was a close fight. So when it comes to the judges' scorecard, even though I don't agree with the scorecards, I can see how they came to those conclusions. Um, but then again, I can understand why it's caused this reaction because John Jones is a guy that is probably the top three, top five most popular fighters in the sport. He's also routinely in the top one or two kind of pound for pound list for people within the sport. So when he fights and it looks like there's been an upset and he's lost the fight, and then the opponent, Dominic Reyes in this case, doesn't get the decision, it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So I can understand why there's been this reaction just because it was John Jones involved in the fight itself. I also think it's a bit of a cop out when the Dana Whites and Scott Cokers of this world say, "Oh yeah, it's the commissions. They need to solve this issue. It's a problem within commissions. The judging isn't to the right standard, but they need to resolve this." The reason why I think it's a cop out is because if someone isn't performing to the right level externally, but the decision they're making is having a direct impact on the fights that you're having in your organization, which is having a massive effect on people that lose fights that they shouldn't lose, etc., then that external problem now becomes your issue. So because I'm sad, when I was driving home from work last night, stuck in traffic, I had a little think to myself, if I was Dana White, what would I do to resolve this issue? So I've come up with a master plan that has 100% guaranteed success rate. Obviously, I'm joking, but this is just my opinion. This is what I would try to do to resolve this issue, or at least improve this issue. I don't think it's something that can be totally eradicated or resolved. Also, feel free to put your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. If you have your own ideas, please feel free to share them because I'm really interested in this kind of line of discussion. The first thing I would do is set up an independent commission. The reason why I say set up an independent commission is because there's nothing that I know of in MMA that is independent of each organization, each promotion, that oversees the rules and regulations and how they're implemented within the sport. So you need to fund an independent commission to basically have a look into what's been going on in terms of judging and reffing within the sport. So I would approach a big John McCarthy. Obviously, he works for Bellator, so that might be out of the question at the moment. But someone of that ilk, someone that understands how commissions work, someone that understands how judges should be judging fights, and someone that understands how referees should be reffing fights, someone that understands all of the criteria that these guys should be working on or towards to implement the rules and regulations of MMA to its best effect. So for argument's sake, let's just say I'm Dana White and I've got Herb Dean on board now. Let me know what you need to set up a team of guys that can sit there and watch every single Bellator fight from this day forward, every single PFL fight from this day forward, and every single UFC fight from this day forward, independent of the UFC, and evaluate the performances against the criteria of the rules and regulations of MMA, of judges and referees. That's their job for the time being. You do that for a sustained period of time. So say there's a team of a few people that are sitting there and evaluating how judges are performing and referees are performing for, I don't know, a year. What you'll basically end up with is a database or a data pool of each individual judge and referee and how they performed against what the rules of the sport are and what the criteria for judging fights and for refereeing fights are. You'll basically have a clear picture of who's doing a very good job, who's doing an okay job, who's average at their jobs, who's below average at their jobs, and who is in a job and you think, why are you even here? You clearly have no idea what you're doing. Once you've got that information, I would invite individuals who are performing below par to come down and sit down and discuss why they've made this decision while they're refereeing. How did they come to that score when you're judging that fight? And try to help educate these people, because they're in the sport, you can't avoid them, but what you can do is improve people that are aligned to specific commissions. I'm talking about athletic commissions now. This is a long-term plan, basically. So then once you've kind of got this information in terms of who you believe are good at the job and who isn't so good at your job, when you're now booking a fight in, say, in Texas, like they did over the weekend, they usually do it months and months in advance. So let's just say 6 months in advance. You need to get in touch with the athletic commission, and while you're having that conversation, you've got that information. Look, this is all of our information on the judges and referees that officiate in MMA. You can have a look at all of our notes and how we've judged their performances individually, and we'd like you to pick from this crop of judges and this crop of referees. You can't force athletic commissions to do what you say, but you can give them data that correlates to your request. You can give them data to say, this guy actually does a really good job, but that guy that you want to be a judge, he's rubbish. He doesn't know what he's doing, and we've got the data that backs that up. Now, you can't force commissions, you can't force people to do what you want, and it's against the rules to say you can only use these judges. I understand that. But what you can do is you can say to these commissions that we acknowledge that there's an issue within the sport when it comes to judging and officiating. We're trying our best to help you guys improve it. We've collated all of the data that you guys need to come to understand who's good at the job and who isn't so good at the job. And then you just leave it in their hands. And obviously, if commissions time and time again don't play ball, don't come to the table to discuss what the information you've given them, and they keep picking the guys that you think aren't good at their job, then it's on you to kind of have a firm stance and say, all right, well, we're not going there again. The starting point for all of this needs to be one set of rules. I just can't understand how Texas apparently have the old set of rules, and the judges judge fights where pressure means more than in another state where pressure doesn't mean as much. It's one sport. Fighters shouldn't have to change their styles of fighting or worry about, oh, hold on, these guys are using the old rules. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's not like in football, and I'm talking about real football where you play with your feet, not American football. Like, you don't play with one set of rules in England and then play against a Spanish team in a European Cup, and now it's just a totally different set of rules. It just there's no logic to it. And I understand MMA is quite a young sport, and it's kind of evolving. But that's the baseline. Do you guys use the unified rules? Do you guys use that one rule set that we agree is the right rule set for MMA where we are in this modern age? If it's a no, then don't go there. Get them to change their way of doing things. Get them to become more modern. And once they've decided, all right, we do use the new unified rules, then you can say, all right, cool, we're happy to have stage an event in your town or your city or your state. And this is our list. This is our list of officials that we think you should use. We've got all the data. You have all the access to the data that you need to show you, that illustrates why Judge A is really bad and Judge B is really good. So we'd prefer you use Judge B. Anyway, that's how I would go about doing it. I don't know how possible this is logistically. I don't know whether I'm just living in some sort of dream world. But that's just my opinion. That's how I'd go about sorting this issue out. Let me know what you guys think. Don't be scared to hit the like button. Please comment. Let me know what you guys think about the issue and what you think needs to be done to fix the issue. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. Don't be scared to hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching this day in a while, I'm a project manager by trade, and I'd love to set this up for you. I don't charge a high day rate. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time.